All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Through the Mists. Good to see everyone. I think we had an off week last week, didn't we? All right,
We
well,
sure
it's
did.
it's good to see most of you. Both Chaz and Mana are out today. I wish them the best with the endeavors that they are taking care of. But for those of us who are here today, let's dive on in. I believe we ended last time in a kind of like a carved out area that seemed different than the sewer that you had been traversing in search of this Marikith Queen in the sewer realm below Paridon. Does that sound correct? And you had kind of gone off, and right as we ended, you had noticed there were a couple of people staring at you. One had a very obviously enlarged eye, almost we could call it bug-like. Whereas the other one, she just was wearing like a dirty dress and didn't really seem all that different, but you noticed that there were others behind them in alcoves and such, and as they peered out, perhaps they had some kind of weird look that you wouldn't expect from a human, some kind of mutation, we'll call it. And I believe that's pretty much right where we ended. Does that sound correct?
That's about right.
All right. So, as these two that were in the front kind of step out, and the fellow, both of his eyes blink, but like the one larger one is just so much more obvious to those of you who, I guess you're all seeing in the dark, aren't you? Because of Lilith's magic. And it seems like they can both see you, whereas ones behind them are kind of hiding and blinking in the dark like they can't see you. What do you do?
These poor people, I really feel for them. We need to bring them beds, we need to bring them clothes, we need to get some assistance as to like the map of this underground. We need all these things. So I think Lilith is going to try and suss out the leader, which seems like it's the first one that we kind of saw. Maybe not the leader, but like the first one that's not actively frightened of us.
Right.
Say, hey, we're travelers here, and we have, I'm just going to say that we've lost our way in hopes that they might help us.
Gotcha. Why don't you go ahead and just roll a persuasion check for me? And while you're doing that, Dizzy, what are you doing?
Um, can I help with the persuasion or
Sure. Tell me how you do that. What would that look like?
let's see.
Like, is there anything that you would say in addition to what Lilith is saying, or any actions you would take?
Play us a tune.
You could play a tune in the background.
Sure.
Light mood.
Um,
We've got Enya in the background.
right. So there is this like very high mosquito like shrill whine going on from the very tall or the very small set of bagpipes that Twiggy is playing. Um,
That's right.
do you want to try and play a tune that goes along with that, or one that tries to more cover it up?
Uh, I'll play something that goes along with it.
Sure. Why don't you make a performance check for me? And while you're doing that, Twiggy, as you float up playing your bagpipes, what are you doing?
Uh, I mean, definitely playing the song of my people, but also keeping an eye out for any of these individuals with a crown. Any of them have a crown. Any of them look like a queen. I mean, this is kind of a weird court.
Yeah.
but like, I mean, have you been to some of the courts in the Feywild? Super weird.
Totally
So,
fair. Why don't
you
you
go with the crowd?
why don't you make a perception check? And while you're doing that, we'll wrap back around. Lilith, go ahead and roll another persuasion from Dizzy's helping you. Much better. Awesome.
Yes.
All right, so with that persuasion and the music going on and Dizzy's music kind of helping Twiggy's to be a little less abrasive, what are you I guess what's your the first thing you say to that person that you think is the leader?
Oh boy. We're travelers here,
Mm-hmm.
and we are looking for a queen. We're not sure how to get to the town, but it dawns on us that there's a lot more to this underground than we even know. And is there someone that would be willing to help us find our way? We also will try and bring food down to you guys, or clothes or something. We would like to pay you back in any way we can.
Okay. As you say that, the woman turns to the fellow and says something. It's very quiet. You, even from the distance that you can't quite make out the words. The music is covering up part of it. And the fellow walks down away from you just a little bit. And you do hear him say, "They can see in the dark. Go ahead and relight the lanterns." And you see several people come out of alcoves and begin to use flint and to re-spark lanterns that are hung on the walls. As this warm glow kind of spreads, the woman blinks in the sudden light and kind of takes all of you in. You do notice that Marie kind of steps forward. The weapon that had appeared in her hand disappears. And she's just kind of like taking all of this in. Adela, you're kind of in the front of all of this.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make, or actually, what's your passive perception?
Let's see, 15.
15. You do hear her under her breath kind of mutter, I thought this whole place was just a legend. Like it just to herself she says that. But the woman in front of you steps forward and she introduces herself as May. She says, I'm May. It's not often that we get outsiders here, but sometimes the mists do drop strangers into the tunnels. I'm sorry that you've lost your way. As long as you don't mean any of us any harm, we're more than glad to help you.
That is so unbelievably kind. Yes, we're trying to find a queen, and we don't know which way to go. Our friend over here knows where we should end up, but maybe not how to get there.
She looks around. She's like, "Well, I don't think you're gonna meet any queens down here." And she kind of laughs. It's kind of this self-deprecating laugh, but you definitely get a feeling that a lot of the people who are looking out and kind of eyeing all of you are also kind of looking to her to like deal with the situation. So you do get the feeling that she is a leader, if not a queen.
To recall the queen that we're actually looking
Sure. Yeah, Marie looks around and she's like, more specifically, we're looking for the Marikith Queen. At which point, May, her face kind of blanches and she's like, "Oh, why would you want to find her?"
Well, she may be someone that has the magical jawbone that has disappeared. in their realm, because we're guests of this whole area. I don't these towns aren't familiar to me, but Marie over here, she knows.
As you're saying this, the fellow with the large eye comes back up, and May says, "This is Kalen. He's kind of in charge of keeping an eye out for the any dangers to the group. He saw you coming earlier and let us know that you were here, but a jawbone. I don't really know anything about that, but if you're insistent on finding the Marikith, we could point you in the right direction."
Would be so helpful. And the jawbone has something to do with the jackawares, so just be aware that there are jackawares that are now out above.
They look at each other. I thought the jackalwares were only a myth.
No, they're real. They're real. You should keep your eyes out for that.
At this point, like, several people are kind of coming out of the alcoves, and you can see in the light that this carved out area does go back quite a ways. It's almost like it's, once you like look and it goes further back in, it's taking on like a structural difference that's reminiscent of kind of dwarvish things that you've seen before. It definitely doesn't match the sewers you've been in, and how before you headed down this tunnel you did notice that things were kind of shifting in the style of the stonework and all that as you progressed along. It doesn't really match either of those, almost like this is yet another like area that is connecting to this underground, I don't want to call it an empire, like this underground realm that you're exploring. And she says, well, why don't you come with me? There might be someone who has a better idea of what you're meaning.
Okay, that sounds great. But also, before we make any moves, I think that Dizzy and Twiggy are playing so well. Is there any kind of harmonies that you would like to hear, and maybe they can give you guys a tune for just relaxation?
Oh, it's not very often that we hear music down here. As we're, sometimes we have quiet jam sessions, I guess you'd call it, but we don't really want to be found by the people that are from above. So okay. It's whatever. If you don't think there's anyone behind you, whatever sparks your fancy, I guess.
Okay. Well, Twiggy, Dizzy, what do you guys think? Shall we leave them with a nice tune?
Oh, sure. Should I make another performance check?
What kind of song are you going to play? Is it going to be a happy one, a sad one, a party song?
I'd say a happy one would be nice.
Okay. Twiggy, are you planning on playing along with Dizzy or something different?
I think my role in the song playing has I think been met. Like, I have announced us, and we have played the song of my people, and I think really now is the time to just kind of flit about and glitter for a little bit.
Gotcha.
They must bask in the glory, and also keep an eye out for this queen. She's around here somewhere. I'm sure she is. Like, we've been underground for forever, so like there's got to be a queen like around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Clearly, she's right there. She's here somewhere.
Then yeah, Dizzy, go ahead and just make a straight performance check. Nice. So as the bagpipes kind of let out their last wheeze but much higher pitched. Dizzy, you strike up a happier tune, and you notice that a lot of the people nearby are younger, perhaps children, and they all kind of come out and are watching you play and seeming to enjoy it quite a bit. Nice. As you all start to head off, you do notice Marie is looking around in kind of a sense of wonder, something you haven't really noticed. But what you finally catch on to as Lyra is just kind of like hanging in the back, and she's just like staring. There's like a couple of people. One is a younger girl who's holding like a swaddled infant. You're not really sure how old. The girl has some weird patches of skin that kind of remind you of how do I say this? It's like her skin in areas looks older than she is. So it's kind of hard to describe other than she has old person skin. That kind of wrinkled and like it's lost its elasticity and such. But she's holding this swaddled baby, and Lyra's just like staring at the baby like, keep it away. So she just kind of like skirts around them, and then as you continue following May, there's another older gentleman that's like holding like a toddler, is wrapped in has like a cloth diaper on, and you notice that the toddler has just like an enormous set of fangs. It reminds you of like kind of how orcs have tusks sometimes, kind of like that, but like this one has like big like front teeth that are also large, and it's just like cooing and everything. And Lyra skirts around that one. It's almost like she's allergic or something. So you all are gonna follow after May?
Yeah. And as we do, Lilith is just going to like shake hands and say hello and like tap people on the shoulder and just like, hello, meet Twiggy, meet Dizzy, meet Lyra, just kind of introduce everybody and every once in a while, ask for somebody's name back and just say nice to meet you and try and treat them as like normal and kindly as possible. And make a mental note that we need to bring like food and stuff back because these poor people are like not okay.
So you do notice that every so often you can hear people kind of talking in hushed tones amongst themselves about you as you do this. And it seems that some of the people think that you are new additions, that you've come here because all of you look at least somewhat different than the people above. Adela, Lilith is a Goliath, but she is pretty much human looking. Although that kind of sickly pallor that she's taken on is enough to perhaps set her apart from the humans above. But others are like, no, I don't think they're Caliban. I think they're, well, that one looks like an elf, and I don't know what the flying one is. It's very interesting looking. And some of the kids, like every so often, kind of run out and run around underneath Twiggy as you're floating around and like reach up and catch the sparkles that every so often rain down from you.
They're going to be blessed with glitter. They'll all be blessed with glitter.
Later, they're going to be like, I can't get this shit out of my hair.
Yep. That's a blessing. You've been blessed.
Blessing. And so after a little while, they lead you down what almost appear like streets. They're obviously there's no sky, and it's almost like you get the feeling that this was a city once, or some kind of town. The buildings are of stone or of some kind of stone work, and every so often you see plaster and all that, but it's almost like the ceilings melted down on top of them. You don't see, it's not like they caved in. You don't see breaks in the rock above, but it's almost like some kind of will just like lowered the rock down onto the area. And so May leads you down for a while and finds this you think it probably would have been a decent sized home, not like super large or anything, but before it was overcome by the stone above, because you can see like the way that it looks like it probably would have continued up and is now just missing because of the stone that is adhered to it. And she knocks on the door, and you hear a voice from inside call, "Come in!" And she opens the door and leads you in. There is a part where you kind of have like to duck because the ceiling is kind of bowed, or rather the stonework inside is kind of bowed from the rock mushing down. But you do see we'll say a younger fellow, as he's kneeling down next to a rocking chair, and in that chair is a elderly gentleman that you can see like he just has like little sprouts of hair that stick out from between scales, as his scalp is just like this kind of reptilian skin. And he looks up, and you can see that one of his eyes is slitted like a snake, and his other eye appears as a human's would. The younger guy kind of looks at all of you and May questioningly, and May says, "We just have a few questions for your dad, if it's all right." Yeah, that's fine. He does need his rest though, so try to keep it short. And he looks down at the elderly gentleman. He's like, "I'm gonna go get you some more tea. I'll be back." And he walks into a door. Well, he walks into a doorway. He doesn't walk into the door behind him, right? And disappears. May says, "This is Matthew. He's one of our oldest residents. Maybe he knows something about these Jackal-wares."
Okay. So Lilith is going to proceed to tell him about where we came from, and that the Jackal-wares are now out, and something about the jawbone, and that's why we need to find this queen, and just kind of see how he feels about that information.
Okay.
So, yeah.
He watches you intently while you speak, and you can tell by his face when you talk about the Jackal-wares and the queen and all that. He knows what you're talking about, and there's kind of like a look of worry on his face. Has this been confirmed that there's Jackal-wares?
Yeah, we actually ran into some ourselves. Dizzy and Twiggy, they would you guys like to share of what we know about Jackal-wares?
Well, one, they tried to raid me for a crime that I did not commit, and they've just been causing a bunch of mischief and mayhem around the town.
Okay. Twiggy, is there anything you want to throw in?
Well, I mean, I think they're rather delightful. They could be anywhere. They could be anyone. Just like those doppelganger sorts, and probably others who can shape change, like the Fae, clearly. And one of our own, is probably a Jackal-ware or maybe a doppelganger. And they're also very pleasant. I'm sure it's fine.
Is
But we do
that
need the back.
is that what you are? Are you a Fae?
Oh, yes. Well, yes. I'm a Twiggy, actually.
A Twiggy. I've never seen a Twiggy before in my years.
Well, you've not been around long enough. I'm afraid your life is but a blip in the duration of my afternoon nap.
Twiggy, you should
Ah,
tell him about your people. He's
Oh, I
hungry
should
for
tell.
knowledge.
He is hungry for knowledge. In fact, that is a great idea. Glitter.
glitter, glitter of knowledge.
Glitter of knowledge.
He says, I remember when the jackal-wares were infesting the city above, and the sewers below. We had much worry for our people back then. To know that they've been released is not a good thing. I don't know why you're seeking the Marikith Queen, though. What does she have to do with this?
We think she may have taken the jawbone.
He looks thoughtful about that for a moment. About that time, the door opens and his son comes back out. Sorry, this is my son, Yona. He and Kaylin do a lot of take care of a lot of the watch, letting us know if people have been sighted. Yona, have you seen anyone heading into the Marikith realm? And he kneels down and he holds out a little saucer with a cup of tea for his dad. No, there haven't really been travelers down here in quite some time. The last one we know of was the woman who brought us that baby.
It's about the woman that brought you the baby.
What's that?
Like, tell us about that.
Well, you would think that after so many years they would realize that we are not a threat, but yet they continue to bring their
Unwanted children?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. To us, which we are more than happy to take care of them. But the people above just seem quite stuck in their ways.
That sounds awful.
Well,
Absolutely awful.
I disagree. That sounds fantastic. I mean, usually we have to go and take them ourselves, but they bring them straight to you. Fascinating.
Matthew chuckles a little. Yona does kind of like eye you, like, what?
Take the babies? What?
Right?
Yeah. What, you guys don't do that? Come on. It's great. It's a holiday tradition. Replace them with a stick, and then that stick grows up to be a real child trademark, and that's how we do a little bit of cultural exchange, and then eventually, we reclaim the child that we had placed in their care and install the other child back into the real world and leave them bewildered and lost for however long else they have to live. It's a great tradition.
At this point, even Matthew is kind of like, what?
What?
Right?
Yeah.
As long as someone is taking care of the children, I suppose. Anyway, I don't know why the queen would want the jackal-wares to run rampant again. Even her people had to deal with their abundant violence. Yona, could you run and find Kaylin and just verify through your network that everything is as normal as it typically is? Dad, are you sure? And he kind of like looks at him and then side eyes all of you. I'll be fine. May's here. Please, come sit down. Everyone's
Down.
kind
Kinda hunched down.
May, would you mind getting everyone tea? You know where everything is, right? She smiles and nods and heads back through the doorway that Yona went through earlier. What do you all do?
Lilith is fascinated. She wants to know about this little realm. Does she know anything about these people at all? Like this grandpa, Matthew?
Does
Their race
Lilith
or
know any
anything?
about them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even going to have you roll on this one. No, you don't know anything about them.
Okay.
Walking through, it does appear that everyone that you saw has some kind of mutation or
Okay.
weird looking aspect to themselves. Most of them are human. You do every so often notice like some slightly pointed ears like that of a half elf, but it does appear, and through their speech and everything, you do catch that their accents are very reminiscent of the humans above, up in Paridon. And I do believe that Marie explained that when a child is born, really any different looking, that they are, if their parents are, she refers them to it as if their parents are decent people, they bring them down to this group, which are called the Caliban. And actually, let's do this. Adela and Dizzy, make me an insight check. I feel like Twiggy might have been a little busy playing the song of his people while that conversation was going on.
That's not very good.
No.
You both feel like she's definitely there was definitely like a knowledge that she has about it, that almost like she's educated herself about it for some reason. But other than that, that's, she seemed to know about it. But if there's like kind of a general acceptance of this practice, it's probably likely that most people above know that.
Okay. Then I guess I mean Lilith would like to know about any information on the Jackawares in general and how they were put away, if that's at all possible.
Okay. Yeah, even though he doesn't, like, he looks elderly, but you think he's probably in his maybe early 80s. And you know that the Jackaware incident was about 70 years ago. And so you're getting the feeling that this guy was probably alive back then, and he kind of talks like it's something he remembers. And so you just kind of ask him generally about what happened.
Yeah. If he knows about the people that put them away, how the jawbone, any kind of like specifics, and also if he has an idea as to why the queen would want to let them out, like,
Sure.
why is she like that?
So he kind of reflects for a moment and begins to talk about it. By that time I was down here with the others. My parents tried to cover my differences for a time being, but it was difficult, even with, headwear and collars that stood up. It was fairly noticeable in the right lights or situation, and so rather than dealing with any angry crowds or such. My parents brought me down here when I was still only a child. But I do remember the Jackalwares were a presence in the city even before I came here, but the violence that they grew to over the years was after that. But I do remember that we had to deal with people who came down here that were not as they appeared to be. Some of the doppelgangers from above did come looking for Jackalwares, and there were Jackalwares in hiding down here. There wasn't much violence from them amongst the people here, but I do remember hearing stories about above.
Well, I guess, do you know where we can find the queen?
I feel
In
like
a
I
sneaky
should
way?
I feel like I should caution you, as the queen is quite a force unto herself, and it may be that her plans are how would I say this? They might be dangerous to you to go looking for her. And
Would there be a way to spy on her first before we approach her? Could you help guide us, or your children help guide us to do that?
we do have. I wouldn't go so far as to call it an alliance, but we do have an agreement with the Marikith to be able to travel the edge of their realm in search of food growing down there and hunt the various creatures that live in Timor. But we try to stay away from her territories.
Well, I
That
promise
being
we won't.
oh, go ahead.
Okay. I promise we won't associate. We won't tell anyone that we've talked to you. We'll be as clearly of our own entities. We won't. We don't want to mess anything up for you.
It is likely that Kalen could lead you at least part way.
Okay.
He's often our emissary that in times of need we have sent to the Marikith.
That sounds great.
At about this time, May comes back out with some hot tea and sets down saucers with cups on them for each of you. Dizzy, is there anything that you want to ask or that you are doing during this time?
I'm gonna turn to Lilith, and then I'm going to ask her. So, do we still want to help? I guess the people, the townspeople, with their fish problem if they just abandon children like that?
They seem like a-holes if they abandon their children like this. This seems like
Matthew does kind of let out like
really messed up.
a dry, wheezy laugh.
Yeah, none of this is okay, but I feel like the bigger scheme is that these Jackalwares are maybe a problem to everybody. I don't know. I mean, Twiggy, at one point, maybe we should find a Jackalware and talk to them and ask, what's going on.
Well, yeah, I mean that would be excellent. I mean, it seems like this elderly gentleman has gone long past his due date to return. I mean, as is, of course, tradition, you must eventually wander back to the place whence you came after the changeling has absorbed all the stories of your people. It's probably time for us to bring them back.
Well, I think we're on a quest to knowledge right now because it seems like everybody's ideas of what is right is a little bit, different. Each town is a little bit different. And I can't say I jive with throwing away sending off these children to live down here. But also, everybody seems like they don't have very much food in general anywhere. So, and I think it's all connected to us not being able to get home.
If anything, I have taken heart in knowing that we at least are able to feed ourselves, and we get about as much sunshine down here as they get above.
Wow. That's a little sad. I want to make a difference for you guys. I don't know how, but I want to make a difference.
Yeah, I feel more inclined to help these people than the others, but
Yep.
You all notice that Marie has actually pulled May aside, and they're kind of talking in quiet, hushed tones to one another. Not like they're familiar, but Marie seems to be questioning May. Anything else you want to ask him?
not in particular.
Okay. Did I miss anything as far as the questions you asked earlier?
No, I think it's all
My
great.
brain's just like...
Yeah. I guess we should know what the army is like for this queen. If it's how big of a problem do we have?
She has followers more than an army, though they are rather one-on-one. They're not so dangerous, but they tend to travel in groups that have easily overwhelmed them. Those that travel into the Queen's territory.
And all friendly to newcomers?
Not so much. If you're going into Timor, I would definitely try to avoid the Marikith as much as possible. They tend to view anything that moves as food or as future children.
Okay. So maybe stay out of sight as much as possible.
That would be my recommendation, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your help.
The front door opens and Yona comes back in. Kaelin hasn't seen any signs of anyone traveling down here up until all of your arrival. Are you sure that the Marikith are involved?
I mean, that's what we thought.
He looks to his dad. We do need to do some more scouting and see if there's a new entrance into Timor that we haven't found. If that's the case, these jackal-wares could be traveling back and forth and we wouldn't even know it. And his dad just kind of nods. Make a insight check, all of you. We'll do a group one here.
Super good at these.
Apparently you are, right?
Girls are not good today.
So Lilith and Dizzy, you're kind of like feeling like they don't necessarily think it's a good idea for you to go into what they've called Timor, which is the area that the Marikith Queen rules over. But Twiggy, you get the feeling that this Yona fellow, the son of Matthew, has something else on his mind. Like, he's not telling the whole story.
I think you should come with us.
Sorry, that caught me off guard. I was planning to send Kalen with you since you can all see in the dark, obviously, from what he told me, and he can see in the dark. You can all move about without needing the light which will attract the Marikith. Why would you like me to go with you?
Well, I mean, you probably know more about them than we do. And you are probably an expert at their customs and traditions. And if there is an agreement or an arrangement with the Mariketh, then surely you would be able to hold them to honor that. Something about breaking rules and bonds and things like that.
As Kalen is our emissary to the Marikith, it would make more sense for him to go with you then.
Yes, but I like your face.
I appreciate that.
You shall come with us.
You can do another insight check.
Excellent. How do I do that?
You feel like he's telling you the truth, as far as he does feel like Kalen is the person that will get you there most safely. But there's still something that he's not saying.
Yes, good. Come with us. It's agreed then. Besides, you don't need light to see. We've got, because I don't need light to see. Clearly, I'm a very powerful wizard, and I also have this very tall lady who amplifies my magic and can definitely lend it to you as well. Great, it's agreed. Let's go.
He glances over at May and then at his dad. He thinks for a moment. If there are several of us that are not delegated to go into Timor, we should probably bring the Queen a gift.
I like the way your head's going. I knew there was something special about you.
It may take some searching to find this gift. It needs to be something that she's been wanting or searching for, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'd be whatever the protocol is. Yeah, of course.
Lilith and Dizzy, go ahead and make another insight check. All right, Dizzy, you catch sight of both May and Matthew as this conversation is going on. And Matthew seems a little lost as far as what his son has said. But he kind of like shrugs and nods along with it. But you get the feeling that May knows what he's talking about. She kind of glances over at him with a look that you feel is I don't want to say conspiratorial, but we're going to say conspiratorial. And she just kind of very slightly nods to him and then goes back to speaking with Marie.
Alright, I'm just gonna let it slide for now.
Okay. Well, if we're going to go together, I need to get some things ready. If you want to go with me, we have a depot of sorts where we keep our food and traveling gear.
Sounds like a great plan. I wouldn't want to go very far away from you anyway. You seem to be an expert in all of these things.
Okay.
And I like the face.
He walks over and like kneels down in front of his dad's chair. He's like, "Are you gonna be okay while I'm gone?" "Of course. Maya will watch over me." At which point Marie kind of steps forward and looks at all of you. "I'm going to stay."
Well, I guess she lives in the underground, so I was gonna say, do we trust that she wants to stay? But sure.
I've heard my entire life that these people exist, and I want to do what's right for them, and I feel like it would be best if I stay here.
Oh wow.
Well, don't stay for too long, because their returning is well overdue. Look at this guy. He's like super old.
This
I do hope that they can return to the surface soon.
Wow. I mean, you better do it before this guy kicks the bucket, because, like, mortals. Ah, am I right? Ah! Oh my god.
right. Well,
Okay.
Off we go then.
Right.
Off we go.
Dizzy, what's your passive perception?
11.
And Twiggy, what is yours?
I think it's in that space as well. Hold up. Passive perception is a 12.
Okay. So, Lilith, you're the only one who catches it. While Marie is saying all of this, she's been avoiding eye contact, and it's kind of like one of those things that sometimes you just like meet that person that is uncomfortable with eye contact, but for just the briefest moment while she's explaining all this to you, as she like passes your face with her eyes, you lock on, like she actually does look at you for a second, and you catch this like reflection in her eyes that is kind of this like red glow, almost like if you see a dog with his, like the light bouncing off the backs of their eyes, and all of a sudden it kind of clicks that maybe Marie is not quite as normal as the people above thought she was.
Okay. So that's why she's so interested in all of this.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Lilith is going to hug Marie, pat Marie on the head, and hope that Marie can help us sometime in the future.
She kind of awkwardly hugs you back. It's not quite like as awkward as trying to hug Lyra, but it is that like, you're kind of strangers still, and she hasn't really gotten to know you, but she does end up hugging you back, and she's like, I do hope to see you again. I hope that you can help these people.
Like, it's okay. Dear, it's okay. We'll see you again.
Excellent. And so with that, Yona will lead you out the front. And then there were 4. So Yona leads the 4 of you down some, a maze of these underground streets. Most everything resembles that same kind of structure that you've been passing every so often. You do notice that the ceiling has come down and covered up part of the city. And he leads you to a fairly large building. It actually kind of reminds you of... what is the word? It's right there. Like kind of like a government building. like anyway, it's a large building. And he leads you inside. There are some people that are just kind of milling around, but it doesn't appear that this area is like a place where people hang out. And as you head in, you see that some of the people are like moving crates to, you know, different areas, kind of trying to organize some things that maybe just arrived. And he walks over, and you see like we'll call it a weapons rack. It's more of like a shelf, like almost like a bookshelf, a wide bookshelf that some swords have been stacked on, and there's like some bows leaning up against it, and there's like a hay bale that has arrows sticking out of it. He goes over and kind of looks at what's available, pulls out some arrows, puts them into a quiver, and picks up a bow and strings it. There's food over on those shelves there if you all need anything, if you need to stock up.
Sure. I think Lilith is going to take a little bit of food just because it seems like that's a good resource for so many people that she has come across.
Mm-hmm.
So Lilith is going to grab a little bit in hopes to like give it out for people that need help, or that, you know, are helping them or might really need it. Sure.
Gotcha. As you're, you know, kind of moving around the shelves and looking at all this stuff, you do catch that these crates are fairly new. Like, some of the crates are fairly new, and they do look like they came from the town above. So you get the feeling that there is some sort of influx of food from above, but then you also notice that there's like crates full of like older, worn down crates that have like mushrooms in them, some weird kind of tubers, pseudo potatoes. You're not really sure why they're that strange green color, but it doesn't look like mold. Like, not all of it comes from above, for sure.
Okay. Cool.
And as he kind of throws his gear on and everything, are you all ready? We need to go find Kaylin.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So he leads you back out, down the same street you came through for a little while, but then he detours and takes a different road, and it does end up leading you back to that front entrance that you came in, at which point you see Kaylin waiting. He's now equipped. He's wearing some light leather armor, has a bow and a quiver of arrows, and a short sword strapped to his side. Oh, are we going together? He says to Yona. Yeah, so there's just a little shift in plans. That gift we were talking about for the Queen, we're going to go track that down first before heading into Timor.
So what is the gift?
Oh, it's a special prize that she's been searching for several weeks now.
Okay. Do we know what that prize is? Do you want to share with us what that is?
They kind of look at one another. What would they say? Sorry. Give me a second here. Why don't you make a persuasion check?
It just seems shady. Just seems like, why do we not know what this is?
There's an animal, a unique animal that's loose. We haven't seen it, so I couldn't really describe it to you, but it definitely would stand out down here. That apparently she has her people looking for, and if we could find it first, then, you know, maybe we can curry. What's that?
Is it a jackalware?
I don't think so.
Is it a deer creature?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm all out of ideas. Oh wait, is it is it an arc fae?
I don't know what that is. So
Well,
maybe?
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. But good, it's probably not that either.
So yeah, if I figured if we could bring it with us, then we could curry some favor with her and hopefully get her to not want to eat you, for example.
Yes.
Or me, since I typically don't travel into her realm.
Alright. What kind of form is she? Like, what is she that she wants to eat other life forms?
I've never seen her. And he looks over at Kalen, who blinks. How to describe the queen? Are any of you afraid of spiders?
I wouldn't say afraid, but they're kind of creepy.
Okay. I mean, as long as you're not afraid of spiders, you should be good. So, take a spider and your worst nightmare, and they like have a baby, and that's what the spider or the Marikith Queen looks like.
Sounds delightful. I mean, she doesn't
It's
squat
it's something, that's for sure. It is. She is a sight to behold. I wouldn't mention her appearance, however, she's very touchy about it.
She's sweet. She's lovely, I'm sure.
Go with that. Go with that.
Oh my god.
Well, if you're ready, we'll head out.
Yeah, let's head out.
You seem to be missing a person.
Don't worry about it.
That's Kaylin, and Yona says, "Oh, she's staying." And there's like an obvious meaning there behind his words, and Kaylin's like, "Huh, I wouldn't have guessed that." Okay, well, this way, and he leads you back out the way you came in. I believe it was Lyra that saw the creeping shadow. Does that sound right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Kaylin leads you all out the way you came in and down, as though you were continuing in the direction that you had headed off towards before turning on this detour. But you notice that Lyra is very attentive and watching out, and she kind of sidles up next to Lilith. So, you remember that thing I told you I saw? Because I'm pretty sure she mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but just keep your eye out.
Okay.
And she just, like, slinks into the shadows and is, like, prepping to stab things. Is there anything that you want to do besides walking?
I think we should just try and be as, like, sneaky and casual as possible.
Okay. At this point, you are back in the dark. Are you twilighting for the group?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Just to kind of keep the cover.
So that does mean that Twiggy cannot see.
Then.
But I mean,
Let's
Twiggy
have-
can write on your shoulder. Actually, that means you can't see either, doesn't it?
Let's yeah, let's continue the twilight then.
Okay.
Why not?
So the twilight essentially gives them dark vision and has a little bit of a purple glow. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue that, and
it's-
then Lilith is just gonna walk extra tall and glide a little bit with it.
Gotcha. It definitely is much dimmer than like carrying a torch would be, and as you like extend out the twilight, Yona's like, "What is is that? What is that?
Magic.
Did you do this? This is amazing.
Yes, I did. Amplified, of course, through this very, very tall person.
This is fantastic. And he just keeps like almost like trying to like rub it out of his eyes, but then he's like, no, that's awesome. And so they continue along.
So how are we trapping this thing? Are we trapping it? Do we shoot it? Are we supposed to feed it something special? Do we trick it with a riddle?
If you think any of those things would work, that'd be great. We do want to take it alive, though, just so that all of you are aware.
Does it speak a language? Does it walk on 5 legs? Does it have a tail?
They kind of glance at one another. We're pretty sure it probably moves around on 2 or maybe 4 legs. Could have a tail. We don't know if it speaks. We could try to convince it to come with us.
Have you seen this creature?
We haven't seen it yet, no.
So it's a possibility it doesn't exist.
Oh, we're quite sure it exists. The Queen definitely has her people looking for it quite feverishly.
Why would she want this creature?
The Queen's reasons are, her own, and who is it for what, or what would it make sense to us? Just being silly, almost humans.
You're not human?
I mean, I was born to human parents.
Are you a changeling?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, then you're human then.
Okay.
That's how that works, right? Yeah, that's how that works.
I mean, we've always called ourselves the Caliban, but we're human adjacent.
Well, I mean, the people from Baldur's Gate call themselves, I forget what they call themselves, but then you have the humans who serve the Witchlight Carnival, or Carnies, and you've got, I don't know, those humans in Red Larch. Is that the name of the town? It's been a while since I've been out that way, but Larchies, I think.
Fascinating. Where are these places?
Oh, in the back door of the Jawbone, I'm afraid. Far away from here. A long, long way from away. A long, 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 long way.
Let's see. Let's have Dizzy and I'm gonna roll for Lyra. Make a perception check. So Dizzy, what are you up to as you're walking along?
I'm trying to make sure that we're not being followed or anything like that.
Okay. So with your dark vision, you can see beyond the twilight of Lilith's magic. You don't see anyone following you. However, as you kind of glance back, you do see Lyra suddenly kind of stiffen up, and she like creeps up to the group. There's something up ahead of us. There's a baby.
Bit.
Hello,
Do
baby.
you want to scout ahead, or should we just greet it together?
I think it's that thing I saw earlier. It's the same shape anyway. It seems to be like she's kind of talking to you as you walk, and she like looks up ahead and then talks to you and then looks up ahead. It seems to be what's the opposite of like following us. It's preceding us. It keeps moving away, but then it stops and watches us.
That is rather strange.
And you all notice as you're walking along, the style, the carvings, all of the structure around you has started to shift in like the way that it's made. It's definitely a different stonework than the sewers that you were in previously. And you almost get the feeling like you've just entered into a completely different realm or something. Like even the air smells different. More kind of heady, like a grove of mushrooms has that kind of like heady, earthy, but yet kind of stagnant smell to it. So Dizzy, maybe if you've moved into the outskirts of this place called Timor, maybe whatever Lyra is seeing is one of these Marikith.
Okay. I will relay that information to everyone else.
Okay.
Should we say hello to it?
Seems to be avoiding us, but I think we should.
How would you like to say hello to it?
Well, glowing and with big bow. So nice to meet you.
You just say that to the darkness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Knowing that, something's out there.
So Dizzy, like after, kind of listening to what she was saying and looking where she was pointing out, you do see this shape. It kind of stands out from the wall that it's skirting along. As Lilith bows and calls out to it, it skitters away, like it seems to move humanish, but also kind of like it's shaped differently than a human, and so there's like times where it kind of goes down to all fours and then picks up and continues running. It doesn't remind you of a beast like a jackal. That's one thing it does not look like.
Wiki, can you catch it?
Yeah, obviously I am the fastest of all creatures in this mortal realm, unless of course there are immortals here, in which case, that's debatable. I mean, we'd have to like really have a race to see really truly who's fastest. I probably would win, of course, but the protocols for those sorts of things. Yes, of course I could find. Yeah, of course I can catch it. You want me to? I will. I'll go
You
so
should
fast.
catch it.
Yeah, watch me. Yeah. Is there a distance? Is there a distance that I need to be within to continue to be able to see?
So it's dark. Like, what do you mean? Like within from
the twilight for the twilight thing? 'Cause
So I think you need to be within
darker.
30 feet of... Yeah. So you're granted dark vision within 30 feet, so you would have 30 feet of dark vision outside of that, I think.
Crap.
So you don't see it. It seems like it's outside of that range.
Wow, I just have to chase it harder. But I will need a source of light. Not that I need light or anything. It's just to give it an advantage because I'm so fast.
You could hear it too.
Let's see here. You can start fires with this druid craft, I think.
Yeah, you can spark like a little fire. You just need something to burn.
Let's see here.
Like you have your little matchstick torches, for example. You could light one of those.
Yep. That's one way I need to do. I'm gonna need to light a torch. Not that I need it. It's just
Right.
to give an advantage.
I mean, how else do you announce your presence if they can't see you?
That's true. I mean, they can't see. If I can't see, they can't. I mean,
Right.
That's just how that works. Yeah.
You can't see me. You can't see me. You can't see me. All right. So Twiggy lights a torch. Are you flying after where they've said this creature is?
Yeah, beelining for it. I'm going to show how fast I am. Look what I can do.
Okay. Is anyone going with Twiggy, or are you staying with the group?
Stay with the group.
Okay.
I'll give it Twiggy. But
Okay.
I will go stealthily.
Twiggy, is your flight speed faster than your...
Doubtful. Hold on. I'm pretty sure it's just my standard movement.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to verify.
Pretty sure it is. I mean, well, actually, no. Hold up. I'm a barbarian. Do I get extra speed?
Oh.
GSE. We're level 4, I think, right? I'm still not used to these sheets. I get so lost in them. I don't think I have increased speed at 4.
Baby Celeste, hi.
It's equal to your walking speed.
Okay. Let's see what
So
your
yeah,
walking
I
speed
think
is.
It's 30. Where is it in a normal? Yeah, it's 30 feet at the moment.
Okay. So Dizzy, are you trying to be silent essentially? Are you sneaking?
Yeah, I'm trying to be silent.
Go ahead and make a stealth check for me. And you can have advantage on this actually because Twiggy is a bright glowing, I don't want to say target, but distraction. Distraction is a better one. Nice. Yeah, so you aren't quite keeping up with Twiggy, but you are stealthily following behind. And Twiggy, you zoom ahead trying to find this thing. Make a perception check for me.
Perceiving. All right.
And actually, Dizzy, make one as well, since you're also following along. And Twiggy might need the help. Nice. So Twiggy is, you see the area that's lit up by your torch. There is some water on the ground. It doesn't really seem like it's sewer water in the way that you had been traversing the sewers earlier. It looks like there are some tunnels that go off, but you're just really focused on trying to find this thing, and so you're zooming ahead trying to see it. Dizzy, you notice that the thing gets ahead of your dark vision. Twiggy is between you and where you last saw it. If you're all moving together and it's continuing to stay away, it makes sense. But you do also notice that there are openings in the tunnel walls, and they're not like what you saw earlier where they were like carved out areas that were essentially the sewer tunnels meeting. These are more like hive-ish. It almost looks like there have been multiple openings somehow formed in these walls, and it might be that it went down one of those.
Would I have any idea which one?
With that perception check, I will say that if it went out, like as you were following it, when it went out of your line of sight, there's only a couple of these holes that it could have gone down. So yeah, as you draw closer, you can kind of keep an eye on those and look down them if you want.
Yeah, I think I'll head down one of them.
Okay. So they're much smaller. You'd have to kind of like climb up into it and like kind of soldier crawl through it if you wanted to go down it. But as you get closer to it, and Twiggy is, we'll say 20 feet ahead of you at this point, you get to the tunnel and you look in, and the light from the torch is just starting to fade, and you can see a glimmer, like a slight reflection of these black orbs looking back at you as the light fades away. And then as your dark vision sets in, you see this kind of gray-skinned creature inside. It looks humanoidish, but like very warped and I'll go with bulbous is a good way to explain it. Like very almost like its different parts were connected like a spider would be, but it's not quite spider looking. It just has these like kind of separate insecty looking parts, and it just is like staring at you, and its mouth is humanoidish. It doesn't have like insect mandibles, but it kind of gnashes its teeth a little as it looks at you, and it scoots back away from the opening.
Okay. Kind of call out to anyone that's around and
Okay.
say like, "Oh, I found something."
Okay. Lilith, have you and the group been continuing, or did you kind of wait to see what happened?
No, we're continuing.
Okay.
We're just walking a normal pace, knowing that they're faster.
So you're about 20 feet behind Dizzy, who is about 20 feet behind Twiggy at this point. What do you do?
Can I hear any of like that they've found anybody or?
You definitely heard Dizzy call out.
Is having a little bit of like a moral dilemma because really curious what the queen wants to do with this being, and is the being like a good being or a bad being? We don't know. So Lilith is just kind of like walking, and you know, she's gonna ask like, what are we bringing to the queen, and are they good or bad?
Okay, make a persuasion check. And while you're doing that, Twiggy, you hear Dizzy call out behind you that they found something.
I mean, yeah, I'm fast enough to catch up on myself. You know, I will just do a quick double back just to check things out. Give whatever it is that I'm chasing a chance to, you know, get a lead for a second.
Totally fair.
Very fair. I mean, I'm anything but not fair. And when I'm within range, if there's like a kind of a closing of the three groups, to get dark vision back, I'll snuff out the torch.
Sure. Yeah, so as the three groups kind of come together, there is that kind of overlay in your vision of the dark vision and your torch, and so you know when you would be able to see again and snuff it out. Kalen kind of inches up next to Dizzy and is trying to like look past you. Oh yeah, that's a Marikith.
So what do we do?
It doesn't seem hungry. It just seems to be watching, so that's good. I wonder why it's out here alone. And he kind of looks around.
Would it eat us if it were hungry?
I don't think so. I think it would, at least not a group our size. We usually don't have issues if we travel in groups, and there's only if one or two of them. It's when they come in their like groups. That's the weird thing about them. They'll just let themselves starve if there's. Do you hear that? As he kind of points it out, there is like this kind of keening noise It's not coming from the tunnel you're looking down, Dizzy, but there is a noise, kind of. It almost sounds like nails on a chalkboard.
Okay. Can I try to discern what it is, or?
Sure, make a perception check. We'll just see if you can tell kind of where it's coming from and what it might be. Nice. As you're listening, yeah, he's right. It's not coming from the tunnel ahead of you, but it's not coming from the tunnel that you're in either. It's more like coming out of one of these other holes. And as far as what it is, you're really not sure. It almost sounds like, really that's the best description. It just sounds like nails on a chalkboard. It's that like high-pitched scraping or screeching noise.
Should we investigate this sound?
Yes. Yes. Does the thing in the tunnel know anything about that sound? We should ask it.
I suppose we could.
Hey, do you have a name?
As you call out to it, it kind of jerks back in surprise. Then it opens its mouth and it starts emitting a noise, a lot like that noise you hear.
Oh.
So I take it doesn't speak common.
No, it speaks whatever that is. It's delightful. I love it.
Actually, in hindsight, Dizzy sounds a lot like Twiggy's bagpipes.
I will say that it sounds like your bagpipes, Twiggy.
Song of my people. I mean, probably, somewhere in that unseelie sort of space, but, we have kind of very similar culture and, art, and theirs just tends to be a bit gloomier. Hold on, I'll speak their language, and I'll pull out the bagpipes.
Okay.
And, keen back.
Okay, what do you play?
Well, I mean, this creature looks relatively unseelie, so the winter wind that blows eternally upon the shores that have frozen my lover out to sea who has drowned 1,000 times. It's a very ancient song. A nice, really kind of droning sort of sound.
Okay, kind of dirgy drone.
Yeah, very
Okay.
dirgy, yeah.
Do a performance check. Why don't ya?
Super amazing at these.
Yeah. As a barbarian, you should be.
Yeah. Let's see here. Performance.
Nice.
Wow.
So, as he's playing Dizzy, you definitely hear the difference between the two, but the creature inside like cocks its head suddenly and kind of skitters back and is watching. As it does so, like some thin strands of hair kind of fall around its face. You get the feeling that like it's fairly well mushed in there, but the more you watch it, the more it looks humanoid in shape. If it were to come out, and it stops making that noise and just kind of watches and like tilts its head every so often. What do you do?
Just gonna say, can you understand us at least?
Interesting. Okay, so it opens its mouth again, and as it kind of like moves its mouth, what would that be? What is your passive perception?
11.
11? Sorry, I keep asking because I forget.
Oh, no, you're good.
It's you watch it and it like looks like it's trying to form words, and then it just stops and does that keening noise.
I see. So do I guess, do I pick up that it's trying to speak?
Yeah.
Or...
You just get the feeling like it either it's mimicking you, like by moving its mouth, or it's trying to speak but then can't, and so makes that keening noise.
Alright.
From behind you, you hear, "Ah, fuck no."
Okay. I will turn towards the source of the voice.
Lyra's like looking up, and you can see another of these things looking down at her from above, like it's sticking its head out from another hole. And then you notice another one kind of emerges slightly from another hole that's just outside of... Oh, the light's gone, sorry. It's within probably like 40 feet of you.
Okay. Should we head over there?
So actually you and Lyra and Kaelin are the only ones who could see that one that came 40 feet out. The other one that's looking down, everyone can see.
Okay, well then I will relay information about the 40-foot out one.
Okay. Twiggy, what are you doing?
Playing the second stanza of The Winter Wind Blows.
Okay.
I mean, it's a long song. I mean, as most Fae songs are. Yeah, you know, like it's been a while since I played this particular tone. It's bringing up all sorts of wonderful memories.
Really getting into it?
Yeah, really just kind of this glitter happening. A little bit dancing. Really can't really dance to a dirge, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Lilith, I don't want to pester you if you are... Okay, what are you doing?
I'm able to hear all of this
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna offer up a little bit of the food that I have and see if I can't coax them to come like closer to me and eat whatever it is.
What is it?
I think I got cheese.
Okay. Are you doing this to like the one that's coming out of the tunnel from above, or the one that Dizzy is standing next to?
Is Dizzy closer than the one that's actually coming out?
Yes.
The one that's by Dizzy.
Okay. So you kind of head over there and hold some cheese at the front of the tunnel. As you do so, Kaelin puts his hand on yours and kind of draws back. He's like, "They don't eat cheese."
It's an honest mistake.
No, I totally understand. Your finger is probably what it would have eaten.
Okay.
Here, hang on. I think I have. He pulls out some jerky. Here, try this.
Okay. Then I'll put my hand out with jerky.
And as you do so, like you kind of look at the jerky, and it's still kind of rat shaped. Like you just feel like it's kind of a dried rat that's been deboned. And you hold it up, and inside you can see this face with these large black eyes. And it's kind of like tilting its head every so often in response to Twiggy's song or music that they're playing. But it does kind of like lean forward, and it opens its mouth and it goes almost like it's sniffing the air, and it kind of scuttles forward a little further. Looks like it doesn't have a hard time moving in this tunnel, but moving in the tunnel just looks awkward because it's essentially like a round tube that it has stuffed itself in. And it gets closer and closer. You gonna hang out there?
I would like to see if I can get it by like the scruff of its neck, but after I've kind of enticed it out a little bit.
Gotcha.
Closer to me.
So you're holding the dried rat, and it comes closer, and it like looks down at it. Its like tongue kind of extends out, and you can't see color in your dark vision, correct? So it just has this like very pallid tone, but you notice that its tongue is also kind of this pale color. It's kind of a medium grayish in your vision, and it just kind of creeps forward and licks the dried rat, and then it closes its mouth around it and kind of tries to pull it out of your hand.
I'm going to try and grab it by the scruff of its neck.
Sure.
Gently.
Roll a d20 and add your strength modifier.
Okay. Let's see here. D20 and my strength is add 3 to that.
Wow, nice. So it just has a hard time moving in there because it's kind of, stuffed into this tube, and you reach out and just grab it. It does have, like, you kind of mush your hand past its face, and it does have, like, hair, and you grab it. Are you going to pull it out?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So Dizzy, are you staying there, or are you going to move out of the way?
I'm gonna move out of the way.
Okay. So it begins keening in this kind of like around, like it opens its mouth and kind of hacks out the dried rat and begins keening, but it's much more like a high piercing instead of just kind of like the call that you heard earlier. It's like kind of abrupt in bursts, and you drag it out. It looks very much human-shaped. Some of its proportions are strangely bulbous. Its face seems a little distended in comparison with a human or other humanoids. It has these large black eyes. It has this just straggly, thin hair that comes down from its scalp. What do you do with it?
I think Twiggy should try and talk to it. Friend or foe?
Well, I mean, I am. Stanza 3.
I mean, otherwise, bring it to the queen.
Dizzy, go ahead and make a perception check for me. Everyone seems just like very focused on what's going on here with Lilith dragging this creature out. And then Lyra goes, I think we might have a problem. And as everyone looks, you definitely see the one that was sticking its head out from above has crawled out onto the ceiling. And another one's crawling out behind that. And Dizzy, as you look out into the dark, you can see that these creatures are starting to come out of these hive-like holes. There, at first, are like 6, and then a dozen, and then 2 dozen. And they just seem to kind of be swarming around the areas just outside of Lilith's twilight. And as this creature that she has, like, held by the scruff... As she has this creature by the scruff, it stops its screeching noise and slowly, like, begins to let loose this, like, weird gurgle noise that's almost like a laugh. And that's where we will end this week.
No!
Hooray.
Oh my god!
My adoring fans have come to listen to me play.
Right? That's absolutely why they showed up. Like, what is this beautiful music?
Uh-huh.
Wonderful.
Anyone have anything to announce before we wrap it up? Any new things? I have a new thing. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I released Spelljammer Creatures of the Cosmos on DM's Guild. Has something like 85 stat blocks for your Spelljammer game, both stuff from 2nd edition and random stuff that I made from my brain. So go check that out. We hope you have had a fun time watching today. Join us next week on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. These videos go up on YouTube on Saturdays after our streams. We will see you next time. Bye.